Hello and welcome once again to Boomer 11 Live, and we are continuing our series of coverage on the FIFA World Cup 2022. And we had two matches today so far, both of them happening at the same time. One of them very important to the conclusion of Group A. That was Ecuador versus Senegal, where Senegal, after a penalty and then a comeback goal from Koulibaly, made sure that they had their lead intact against an Ecuadorian team that seemed to make a comeback but could never really take the game by the scruff of its neck. And the other end of on another part in the same country in Qatar, the host nation Qatar are finally out without getting any points on board. 2-0 to Netherlands. Cody Gakpo scoring again. He's just been on it when it comes to the Netherlands Dutch team. And then Frankie de Jong making it 2-0 in the 49th minute and ending a comprehensive victory over the host nation. And now leading up in the next 30 minutes, we have two matches coming up, which is Iran versus USA and Wales versus England. Two matches that's going to decide the conclusion of Group B. A lot of exciting action coming up and a lot of exciting action which is just concluded. And I have with me Abel right here. Abel, what's your take so far on the games that have been concluded right now? Two matches. Group A is now settled. Netherlands and Senegal are going through something that almost everyone predicted. But you got to
Yeah,
really feel for the Ecuadorian team, right? I mean, they gave it their all.
I mean, yeah, you have to say that they were very unlucky not to make it to the last 16. I thought they were one of the better teams from that group, especially the way they played against Qatar, the way they put up a performance against Netherlands. They came very close to winning that match, and now finally to lose in such a manner, they'll be extremely disappointed, is what I feel, because they had the right mindset to go all the way. They had the players who were stepping up at the right time. Even in today's game, I know they were slightly conservative in today's game compared to any other game, but even in today's game, they did go down fighting. It was not like uh, a complete or utter domination by the Senegalese team. But at the same time, you have to give credit to the Senegalese team as well. After that first loss, they had a very good game against Netherlands. They lost due to some kind of misfortune, I would say. Maybe the last 10 minutes when they slightly dropped the penny. That's when Netherlands made the most out of it and scored against them. And a last minute goal by Klaassen as well in that game. So they were also a good team that game, and they did have some strong performances. And especially against Qatar, they had they had a power pack performance there. So for them to claim 6 points out of the group, they'll be pretty pleased with that. Without Sadio Mane, people did not really give them a chance. But there's a solid performance from them.
Yeah, I mean, very accurately put there because you did see that the Ecuadorian team was neck to neck with Senegal, especially when that goal finally came in when Ecuador did keep knocking at the door of the Senegalese team, and then finally that goal came from Moises Caicedo at the 67th minute. But 3 minutes later, Koulibaly makes it again, brings back Senegal to a lead where they made it 2-1. The first goal was scored through a penalty by Sar in the 44th minute, right at the end of the half time. And I think that's what really would have hurt the Ecuadorian team, because right at the edge of the half time to concede like that, that would have really hurt. I mean, to have really been there, made sure that you would have hoped at least, if not 1-0 towards Ecuador, they would have hoped the Ecuadorian team would have hoped that the goal does not come, that at least they don't go down, and let alone in the fashion that they did with the penalty really coming in. And I think, Abel, what do you think of that penalty, the 44th minute, right, that Senegal conceded?
Yeah, I mean, to be very honest, these kind of chances you have to grab it ultimately in a World Cup situation. If you don't grab these chances, then it'll come haunting, and that's exactly what happened. But to be talking about the game, after that equalizer by Ecuador, I personally thought Ecuador could have been more braver. They could have taken the game on, looked to press a lot more higher up the pitch, which they did not. I was slightly surprised why they did not, because they went for a different game plan altogether in this game. Uh, because even against Netherlands, they were more braver in terms of going up the pitch, trying to create more chances, trying to get into the final third, especially with Estupinian actually making some important runs on the left hand side. But in today's game, did not see these things happening. I know Estupinian was coming more centrally today. He was trying to come in more centrally, trying to cut inside. But that's not something which Ecuadorian team has been doing. I know Preciado is there on another way. So if you look at the last couple of games where Ecuador was extremely strong, you saw Castillo. Castillo was a player who played centrally, who made those in behind runs on most of those occasions. And you saw players like Istupinian and Preciado giving them those width, which also helped Inner Valencia to get into right positions as well. In today's game, they did not do that, and it was slightly surprising. Why didn't they go in with that tactics which was working pretty well for them in the past couple of matches at least. And something which I think will have to be looked onto, especially now after they have entered the campaign in the World Cup, they'll be definitely hurting because you don't want to change your game plan. You of course prepare for every opposition differently, but at the same time, do not do not fix something which ain't broken. It's a simple theory which you've been following, and in sports, it's all about keeping things very simple. And your team strength has always been about giving that with trying to press oppositions, trying to maintain the ball position. Today, you let Senegal actually dominate you with the ball position. You let Senegal to come into your off more often than not. Even when you're 1-0 down, Senegal was the team who was more attackingly more potent. I know you score that one goal there, but even there, you give Senegal that opportunity to come back and actually take the lead. So it was a letdown from Ecuador on that basis.
I mean, we saw that yesterday with South Korea as well, isn't it, David? Because it's always said in football that when the moment you score, the next few minutes are the most dangerous time in football because you always, that there's always this high about a well worked goal, which the passes and the strategy that goes in. Finally, you get the result. But in football, because the game is so fluid, you're always bound to give the goal away. Yesterday, South Korea, we saw when they came 2-0 back, they came roaring back to the game, but then again, they considered the third and the winning goal. And from there on, it became very difficult because it's much easier to concede a goal right after you get a goal, right?
It's actually the truth in football that you let go of concentration the moment you're on a high. You let go of intensity slightly as well, which is a case in almost all the sports. When you are on a high, when you're possibly rejoicing of a moment, you tend to let go of certain aspects which you should be covering, and that's exactly what happened today. They slightly dropped the pedal there after they scored that goal. They became slightly more vulnerable in that set piece, which I thought shouldn't have been the case. Especially in set pieces, you have to be up there, and especially when you have the likes of Koulibaly there, who's a strong defender. He's a strong presence inside the box in these set pieces, and he made the most out of it. The moment you give him anything, he's going to put it behind the net. If you're going to drop any sort of concentration, I thought someone like a Hinkapia should have been on him. He's a most experienced defender. He's a defender who's technically very solid as well in the back line. So I thought he should have been covering him a lot better. He should have been on him, especially in set pieces inside the box, because you man to man mark the most potent threat. And I thought the most potent threat from the Senegalese team in any set piece was Kalidou Koulibaly, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, you let Koulibaly off, and he went on to get on the score sheet, and he had a solid game as a defender as well. He was my man of the match for the very reason that he did not let Ener Valencia have the game he has been having throughout the course of this World Cup. If you let, I know he was carrying a slight bit of injury as well. He's been not the most fittest, but the fact is that if you look at the other two games, Ener Valencia was left open on many occasions, especially against Netherlands and also against Qatar. Ener Valencia was given that freedom to operate in spaces. He was given that freedom to make those in behind runs, get into spaces, which today I thought Kalidou Koulibaly dealt with him very well. Ener Valencia plays on the right hand side, and Kalidou Koulibaly being the right centre back for this team, he made sure that he does not create any sort of threat. The aerial threats were blocked off. Even his clearances were top notch. His interception rate was right up there. So I thought, all in all, Kalidou Koulibaly had one of those games where he really stepped up as a player and as a captain.
Yeah, I mean, because especially Koulibaly is someone who's done something that you didn't even see the likes of Dilict or Nathan Ake or Virgil van Dijk being able to do. Because Valencia has been a force, a threat, a goal attacking threat this season for Ecuador. Really, the pillar of their success, you would say. But let's look at the stats that we're seeing on the screen right now. Evil XG still, as you mentioned so correctly, that Senegal were the more attacking team. XG is reflecting that with two. I mean, the XG for Senegal being 2 in comparison to 0.9 for Ecuador. Shots on target and shots are pretty close by. But what really, what you can really see is the shots that are taken right in the box. But if you look at the sizes of the circles, Senegal circles are larger in size, which shows that each shot that they took had much more of a probability of going in the back of the net than what the Ecuadorian shots and the shots that they were taken by them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I personally felt that Ecuador had a very below par game from their standards, which they had already set in this World Cup. I would not have been surprised if Ecuador was playing bad football leading into the game, because Senegal would have been starting as a strong favorites, because they've had a great year, Senegalese team. You have to say that Senegalese team have been on a high, but at the same time, you have to also say that Senegalese team are also slightly underconfident with how they've come into this World Cup, right? They've had they've had the loss of their main player in Sadio Mane. They've not had the best of runs, especially to lose the first match in the way they did. From there on, it was a tough task for them to climb up. But I have to give again to Alu Cisse. He's been a terrific coach for them. Uh, Aliou Cisse in this entire campaign, or through the course of the 2022 season, he's been outstanding to make them win the AFCONs, to make them qualify in the playoffs against Egypt into the World Cup, and now to make them qualify to the round of 16. He's been a terrific coach. He has really managed his resources excellently. He has used the right players at the right time. He know what the strength of this team is. They played some good football. Remember, even against Netherlands, I still consider them very unlucky. They were the better team on that night.
Yeah.
High field. They created more chances. The only two shots they had on target, Netherlands were able to convert it. But other than that, they came very close. And now there's a team who will possibly face England in the quarterfinal in the round of 16, which is going to be a hefty task for them. But it all depends on tonight's results as well. Most probably it's going to be England, or else it could also be Iran or USA. So very interesting to see how things go from there on.
Absolutely. Well spoken there, because yeah, you're right. We don't even know how things are going to be, because Group B is a lot more uncertain than Group A, because coming into Group A, there were only three teams in it today. Qatar had already been knocked out, and out of which two teams were facing each other. So that's where the most important match in Group A was the match played between these two teams. But let's look at some of the other stats as well coming out of this match. And let's look at the XG progression, and you see that till the 65th minute or the 70th minute or so, it never really looked like, and rather the 67th minute when Moses Caicedo scores that make that goal, and equalizes the goal, equalizes the score. It was only then when Ecuador's goal threat really became really rose. But even then, before the penalty itself, from the get go, it looked like Senegal were the one who were really, causing problems in that Ecuadorian defense. And Ecuador were not able to handle, as you mentioned, rightly so. They were not really pushing, I mean, pressing high enough. And they were not really, making runs into the Senegalese final third. On the other hand, Senegal did exactly that. So you would say that, in always these kind of matches, high intense matches, it's always about the team that is either fearless, or the team that, if both the teams are not, if both the teams hold back, then it's always a team that holds their composure the most. But Senegal were the most fearless team today, and that's the reason why they reap the rewards.
Uh, I mean, yeah, to be honest, the kind of chances they converted through the course of this game, it was excellent. And also at the same time, the kind of attacking threat up front, right, of the Senegalese team has been quite impressive, especially in this game, and also in the last game. You saw there were opportunities where you felt like Senegalese team are missing Sadio Mane big time, but then they've been able to cover that up to a certain extent. You do not really feel like, okay, Sadio Mane is a huge miss for this team, because they've been able to put a solid performance as a team. That's so important, especially in World Cups like this. You cannot be reliant on a player. You can understand that you will get injuries, you will miss out on some big names through the course of the World Cup. But now it is what it is, right? You have to understand that Sadio Mane is a big loss. Okay, you put that behind. Now you focus on that main players who you have. That's what I feel. Someone like a Idrissa Ganage, also someone like a Ismail Sarr, someone like I know Dia had decent performances. He did not really come into the World Cup as the kind of name he carries in European football, but I still think he's yet to fire. Once he also starts firing, this team is going to look even more solid. This team is going to cover a lot more lot more aspects in terms of their complete ability to play. But now, what has really helped this Senegalese team is their compactness in defense, right? Except those two goals they've conceded against the Dutch team, and one against Qatar, they've not really looked. And even those two goals, either throughout the course of this game against Netherlands, once again I repeat, they were pretty strong. Against Qatar, they were extremely solid. And today, once again, they look very good. They look very comfortable. Only factor is that Edouard Mendy is still a concern for them. He's still not looked like
Yeah.
he's a goalkeeper in good form, and he's going to be their big issue going into that knockout phase where they're going to be facing some big giants. So if Edouard Mendy has a good game behind the sticks, and if he can really pull out the performance like he did for Chelsea in that Champions League winning season, I think that this team is going to be even more bolstered with that ability to score goals and defend compactively, and also to save things whichever is coming their way. So Edouard Mendy, it's so important for him to turn up into this World Cup. Finally, I hope it's the knockouts which is going to bring the best out of his game, and I really hope once that happens, then they're going to be a tough team to beat more often than not.
Correct, as you mentioned, but let's also talk about. But I mean, is there also a question where you would say that Senegal did not face the strongest teams in the World Cup yet, right? I mean, Qatar and Ecuador, for whatever, I mean, for the players that they have, the skills that they aren't really the best that this World Cup offers, and you would reckon now they will be able to go into the after they've obviously gone to the round of 16. But do you reckon they have a chance to get into the quarterfinals? Because that's gonna be where it's gonna get really tough for this team, isn't it? Especially without the experience of Sadio Mane, who's a big match player regardless.
Uh, I mean, yeah, they are going to find it really tough to make it to the quarterfinals because they might be facing a very strong English team. But then I'm not saying that they cannot defeat the English team. They have the ability to defeat anybody. If English team is going to play like what they did against USA, then you are going to get a lot more chances to defeat them. And today's game is going to be so important. It all depend on how they're going to turn up today against Wales to decide which team will they be facing in the quarterfinals, and if it's in the round of 16. And I personally think it should be England ultimately. And if England plays to their potential, then I really don't see Senegal really going up and giving a competition to that team as well.
Yeah, I mean, Rob Key says something. I mean, some of his thoughts on this as well. I'm not going to take it up on the channel straight up, but sport intellect says intellect making noises everywhere they go. Well, yeah, fair enough. I think we are. I hope you're referring to us only. But yeah, we are making noises wherever we go. Especially, when it's FIFA World Cup time, we are all excited here, and we love covering this as well. But as you know, Abel did mention, that the Senegalese team did look stronger on the attack. But if you look at the stats, I mean, they did have 62% possession in comparison to Senegal's 38 percentage, and also the amount of passes that Senegal made were comparatively lesser, and even the pass accuracy. But that's where it shows, really able. I hope you heard me in the background. As
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
see, possession wise and passes wise. I mean, according to the passes, 267 passes for Senegal, 433 passes for Ecuador, and even pass accuracy is almost Ecuador is ahead by 10%. But even then, despite that, it all boils down. Sometimes we overcomplicate things in sports, but at the end of the day, it's always in football. It's always the one who scores the more goals, right?
Ultimately, that is what it is, and it is what football is all about as well. You know that you can have good possession based game. You might be controlling the possession, but if a possession based game is not unable to create enough chances, then there's no point of holding the ball, because a team which might counter will be creating a lot more potent and attacking threats in their counter attacks than what you're holding, because you will be unable to penetrate through. That's exactly what happened. They had the ball for the extended period of time, but then they were unable to penetrate through into the defensive line out the defensive half. So these are things which they will definitely look into, and these are things which has really costed them the game now. Ultimately, if you look in hindsight.
Yeah, I mean, correct. As well, I mean, well put. They will. Let's go to the next match then. As we spoke, I mean, I think we've spoken enough about this one. Let's talk about the Netherlands versus Qatar game. 2-0. I mean, you would say that it is an expected result. Qatar were facing against the strongest team in this group itself, a team which has topped the group and are clear through. I mean, and also were clear favorites leading up to the Group A. I mean, they would feel that in their last game again, in their last game, they could have done much better than a draw. But then again, they were the second best team against Senegal. But in this, I mean, rather against Ecuador. But now in this match, they did show what they're all about. A 2-0 victory, a very easy one, you would say, for the Netherlands team. Cody Gakpo, a lot has been spoken about him. Again scored today. I think he scored in all their matches so far, hasn't it, Abel? And young talent, obviously someone who is not the most experienced in this Dutch team, but he's been the one who's been delivering goods, right? We haven't seen a player like him. I think he has already had a breakthrough World Cup.
I mean, he's been having a breakthrough season more than the World Cup. 14 goals already in the season, including the 3 years scored in the World Cup. Uh, terrific player. Already a couple of assists he's put in this World Cup as well. A complete all-round player, which Dutch team is blessed with. And remember, they're not even playing Xavi Simons at this point. I still think Xavi Simons also should be playing at some stage in this World Cup because he's another player who's in good form. He links up with Cody Gakpo pretty well. Then that combo is going to be quite exciting to watch. But I think Louis Van Gaal has a reason why he's not started Xavi Simons because he still feels it's way too inexperienced to start a World Cup game or to be put on the pitch because of the occasion. But I think he can be used as a wild card in the knockouts because a lot of teams might not have seen a lot about Xavi Simons, and this guy can really break, especially against teams who play low block football. He can really break a low block by making those in behind runs. His passes are extremely penetrative, and he's very advanced in terms of his skills as well. He can run into the box. He can give you that opportunity. He can give you that he can be that extra man inside the box to create those chances. And his link-up play with Cody Gakpo for PSV Eindhoven this season has been outstanding. Even whatever matches they played, even Eredivisie or even Europa League, I personally felt this is the combo to watch out for. One of them has been putting in show even in the World Cup. He's taken over the World Cup. His price tag is
Yeah,
going to be skyrocketing at this point in
correct.
European football. Pretty sure someone like Eric Ten Hag will be keeping an eye on him. Now with Cristiano Ronaldo's departure from the club, someone who fits into the system ideally, I'm pretty sure some team like Manchester United will definitely want to go for a Cody Gakpo, and even Pep Guardiola will be personally looking at him because he's someone who can who's a future as well. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's going to get a huge transfer at the end of the season, most likely with what he's been doing. And everyone was saying that okay, it's just PSV Eindhoven and Eredivisie, but then look at this boy. He's really converted that into
Correct.
the big stage. As I keep saying, there is no
I mean,
replacement
but
for
you have to also say, Will, that again, as I mentioned, when it came to Senegal, same thing applies for Netherlands as well, right? Especially, I would say for Netherlands, because Senegal would still, you would say that, in comparison to Netherlands, Senegal's level is a lot lower because Senegals are not a contender for this year's World Cup as you would say a Netherlands team is. So now here onwards, you would really be keeping a close eye on someone like Cody Gakpo because not only is, the fact that you have announced yourself to the world now players, I mean teams going forward are going to be keeping a track of what you're going to be doing, how you're doing, fine code your game and then understand how to stop you because you have become a primary goal threat and you're going to be facing some of the teams who have the capability, if they put in the right strategy, have the capability to execute it as well. And it's not going to be easy for Cody Gakpo to go after some of these teams, right? Especially as you said, I mean they might be facing England or Wales or USA. Especially, I would say that if they end up facing England, it would not be that easy. Although chances are less because you hope England will top the group and Netherlands won't have to face them. But if they do, and in case they do, because football can be a funny game, Cody Gakpo will still have to, will still have to prove to the world that against the bigger nations, he can keep repeating what he's done right now. Abel, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, so what I was
Yeah,
saying was that I think a lot of bigger nations will be targeting him now with what he can really,
exactly.
what his ability is all about. But then to talk in just about Kudi Gakpo, because I think we are talking way too much about a dead rubber game rather than
Yeah,
what we should
let's
be
move on.
talking.
We will have to, yeah,
Uh,
we'll move on soon. Yeah.
but I'll just say to end things up, he is a player to watch out for the future. He's got all the making to be a wonderful player. It's a similar profile like a Kevin De Bruyne, a player like Pedri, or a player like an advanced playmaker. He can be used as striker. He can be used as your number 10. he fits in a lot of he fits in the right profile for European footballing nations. He can also give you enough defensive work rate as well. That's what he's been doing even for PSV. I know it. Whenever you ask of him, his off the ball skills are also pretty impressive. So these, whatever boxes he needs to be taking, he's taking that all pretty brilliantly. These, regardless of the opposition he's playing against, these boxes, if you're taking these boxes quite regularly, then you are a very good player, and that's something which Cody Gakpo has been doing so far this season, just excluding the World Cup. And in the World Cup, he's just continuing from where he's left off.
Well, yeah, fair enough. We have Ranga Rajappa, who's a Bengaluru FC fan. For those of you who don't know, Indian Super League is still going on during the World Cup. And I don't know, I don't know. I mean, Ranga Rajappa, Bengaluru is seventh in the league, if I'm not wrong. Abel, they're going through a horrendous season. They did have a 2-0 win against FC Goa, but other than that, in the past few games, and it'll be a relief definitely for that management, the management of FC Goa, that they finally cracked a win. It is a good win, 2-0, but still, it has not been an easy season for them, isn't it? You're wearing the Bengaluru FC's jersey. You do bleed blue. I don't know if that's what you guys say in Bengaluru, but how tough has it been? While we transition to the next two matches that we are
I think we're
just
still
about
the
on
best
that.
club, regardless of what has happened. We're still the
Not
best
this
Indian club.
season.
Not this season or not over the last 3 seasons. Historically, I think we are still the best Indian club. But this season,
Yeah.
if you look, we
Hmm.
won the Durant Cup, which is a trophy into the big trophy cabinets which a lot of teams in India dream of. So we've got that cup into the edition. But to be talking about that, it's just poor start to the season, and also to add to that, it's been poor 3 seasons for Bengaluru FC. It's something way below par of what they've set standards for their own self. They were the most consistent team in I League and ISL, but all of a sudden they've dropped their standards. So I am personally very disappointed with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, because it's not been easy. I think even Sunil Chetri there, one of the legends of the Indian football, has struggled this season for Bengaluru FC, as you mentioned last episode as well. But let's move on now. Let's talk about the World Cup, and let's talk about the game that we have today. The match has already started for Iran and USA, 4 minutes in. It's going to be an important match because this is one group, it's Group B, which is so very well set up right now. Right? I mean, it is an exciting table. If you look at Group B, we have, as of now, England at 5 points, top of the table. Iran second at 4 points, and USA third at three, and Wales at two. But to be
That's
frank,
as things
anything,
stand at this point.
yeah,
Uh,
as things stand at this point.
Yeah,
And as
because
you mentioned,
England are on four. England are on 4 points, and they've not really
yeah,
earned that fifth point. Because if the game ends up as a draw,
yeah,
England will end up on 5 points, and
correct, correct.
because of that very good goal difference they've got, they will end up being on the top of the table. But having said that, uh, Iran versus USA is going to decide a lot of things. Who's going to be the number two team to qualify? I still back England to win this game against Wales. I'd be very surprised if they don't end up winning. And if they don't end up winning, I really think they shouldn't be even qualifying into the round of 16 as well, because they've really deceived a lot of people after that first game against Iran, and that's the ability this team has got. Let's not forget that we've been saying Iran is a very easy team. Iran is one of the best teams in Asia, defensively speaking. Iran's defensive compactness is one of the best out there. They can give any European team a
Yeah,
run for the money. They've done exceedingly well in the qualifiers, and despite all that, if they don't end up qualifying into the last 16, or if they end up even drawing this game, I'll be extremely disappointed, because that's something which this team shouldn't be taking for granted as well. This team has got the ability to smash teams on their day if they go end up playing their complete football. I'm very happy that Phil Foden has gotten a start today, and I think also Marcus Rashford has gotten a start. He's gotten with a totally different team. He's trying on a lot of other players today, which I think is also a good thing. I mean, it shows what's the depth of the squad. The other players he's tried out doesn't make this team any weaker. It only adds to the artillery this team has already gotten. So it's
yeah.
a decent team. I was very disappointed with the fact that he not even try out Phil Foden. In my opinion, he's one of the best players out there in Europe at this point. And if you not try him out, even not give him any bit of minutes, is just unfair. Firstly, you're not starting him, which in itself is a surprise. He should be starting over Mason Mount any day of the week, wherever the match has been played. And on top of that, you're not giving him any minutes at all. That was just disappointing from Gareth Southgate.
But then, I mean, I will have to, concede one thing that Gareth Southgate did say, right? He did go on to say that we have the kind of team where if you don't play someone and then you'll end up losing or you don't end up performing, then that exclusion is always going to be criticized. And fair to him, because you have to
I
also
mean,
understand
it
his
was okay if you played well and you drew the game. You would not even turn up to that match. USA should have won that game in all aspects. They dominated England. They had their chances. They couldn't just grab it. That game did look like a dead rubber at times, but then US's intensity in the first half was outstanding. I thought McAtee
Hmm.
should have put one behind. Pulisic also had a very decent game. That's why you feel like England team who has got so much of potential really did not turn up against a country who calls it soccer. So soccer was the ultimate winner in that game.
I mean, it was a draw. That's pretty much what at least the English fans would want us to say. It was a draw, and maybe who knows? I mean, because USA can still qualify today if they win this match, and that would mean that they might still meet up somewhere ahead in the tournament if both the teams are able to progress. But let's start focusing on that one on the first match that's happening. Probably the match that's going to decide the table toppers, Wales versus England, a rivalry in itself, you would say. For those of you who don't know, uh, England is right here and Wales is right here. That is from the
Yeah.
Gareth Southgate press conference.
Remember,
But
they
for those
all
of you who
are.
didn't watch it,
I mean, when it comes to the political allegiance as well, it's
there's a
almost
lot of
followed by.
history there, Evil. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of
So
history there. Some bit of some rivalry, some bitterness as well, historical bitterness. But they are I mean, almost all the sports that England and Wales play, they play together. I think football
yeah.
is one of those rare sports where they play separate and they have separate teams. But leading up to this World Cup, I mean, leading up to this match, you have a Joe Allen playing today. He's someone who's been missing for the first two matches. He's a very important player for them. On the other hand, as you mentioned rightly, Phil Foden is playing, Marcus Rashford is playing, Mason Mount misses out. We also have Raheem Sterling missing out. Two exclusions. Able talk me through Raheem Sterling's exclusion first up. I think that's the most high profile miss, you would say, because Phil Foden still coming in isn't. I mean, is something you expected, right? In fact, you probably expected Phil Foden to start over Mason Mount in any other team except for maybe Gareth Southgate's system.
I mean, it is not a drop. I still think he has given him rest so that he can be fit for the round of 16. They're pretty confident that they will qualify into the round of 16, regardless of what happens today, which I think is okay. I mean, look at the team they've got. They've tried out other players because they still believe other players should get enough minutes on the pitch because off the bench they've been getting what 10-20 minutes at max. And in today's match, he really wants to try the other players out who are capable match winners of their own. So there is no downgrade to the players they have chosen. All the players can fit into the system very well. And bringing in Phil Foden, bringing in Henderson, bringing in Rashford are all good moves ultimately. And I think these are positive moves in a lot of liking. And I personally feel they should be able to do a job. They should be able to do a job quite comfortably. They've already created a couple of chances in the game,
They
and
have,
it's
yeah.
only 11 minutes on, and I still think this game is far from over when it comes to England's goal scoring chances, which they're going to create. I still think they're going to keep on creating so many more chances. It's all about how they're able to finish it up front in front of the goal. They should be able to convert their chances because in games like this, you should be able to finish your chances. The moment you miss a couple of them, then it'll come to haunt you at some stage.
Yeah, especially when it's cup football, because cup football can be most unforgiving. What do you say? Style of tournament. Let's look at some of the comments. Abel. Let's start with the one that you have right on the screen. Priyanka says
Yeah,
that
it
Wales is
seems.
going to win, and Aaron Ramsey with the goal. Aaron Ramsey, I think, even if I'm not surprised the fact that Wales might win 1-0, but if it's Aaron Ramsey goal that makes them win, I think that's going to be more surprising because he is. I'm not saying he's not a goal threat, but he's someone who's expected to be the one to put the ball in front of someone like Gareth Bale or a Dan James rather than score himself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is another possibility. If US and Iran
Because
go
it's
on a
possible,
draw,
Abel. England are known to bottle these kind of matches, right? And Wales, on the
Even if
other hand,
England
are known to
lose this,
punch
I
above
still
their
think
weight.
they'll be able to qualify. I still think they'll be able
But
to
it's gonna
qualify
make them
on
a
goal.
lot trickier, right? Because you also have to then hope that US versus Iran is a draw, if I'm not wrong.
Their goal difference is what, +4, and US versus Iran. Even if
Yeah.
it's a draw, or even if US or Iran wins, they still will be able to qualify. Is what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Let's also speak about. I mean, let's. What do you think of Wales? Right, the way they've lined up today. Joe Allen is back. He's someone we spoke about as well. Initially before the World Cup as well. Joe Allen is a very important player for them, but he's had some fitness issues. He's come into this match finally. Initially, also, when he was included in the squad, it was said that he's not fully fit and he's not going to be playing full 90 minutes. Today, though he's starting, how do you reckon he's going to be important because he plays at a deeper midfield role, and he can be someone who can convert contribute when it comes to ball progression and transfer of possession, from the English feet to the Welsh feet. So how important is his role in this team? And because together him and Aaron Ramsey has been the foundation of this midfield for a long time now.
Oh, they've been really the two big spectrums in this entire team. They've been able to control them. They've been able to really have a good time even during the qualifiers phase with Joe Allen and Aaron Ramsey through the middle of the park. But in this game, I personally feel for USA and as for Wales, they'll have to win big against England. Not just that, they'll have to win big to actually convert their goal difference, because they lost that game 2-0 to Iran, which was a shocking loss for them. They would have it would have been really hurting them. That was a game they should have at least drawn it, if not lost. But that's the quality of the Iran team as well. Even today against USA, I still think Iran will be able to pull up a result. If not win, they should be able to get at least 1 point, which will put USA in a slight bit of bother as well. Then, which means USA will end up on 3 points, and Iran will end up on four, and Iran will end up qualifying. So it's up for USA to win the match. And when you talk about Joe Allen, the midfield option, I still think he's not 100% fit. He's been tried as a player today because they are desperate to get that win. They have no other option other than to go for the win. They can't play out for a draw. They have to go for the win and win big. So they had to bring in their best possible option to give it all in today's game, the last group game, and you don't want to leave no stone unturned. I think we've lost Jaren there, but yeah, nonetheless, to be honest, now talking about this game, I think Jaren is back, so I'll add him. But yeah, just to be talking about this game, Wales will be the team who are desperate to win, because for England, they know that they're almost through, regardless of what happens in other
Yeah.
results. The goal
And even a
difference is
point
so
will
good.
really push them through, right?
Yeah, the goal difference is so good that unless something really drastic happens where Wales go on to defeat them 5-0, they are in no position of going down or going out of the group now. Now they've almost sealed a place in round of 16, hence you saw those number of changes by Gareth Southgate as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about Iran versus USA, as I think Saloni who puts it, that legends are into USA versus Iran, because this is the more, what do you say? This is the one game which has a lot more riding on it for both the teams, because you would say that Wales has an outside chance now, and they will be looking at this game as well. The way this game progresses will Wales will have to win their game obviously against England, and the fact that they'll have to hope that this game goes on in a fashion that is favorable to them. If you look at this team, the teams that are lining up, USA versus Iran, USA has been one team which has been hyped a lot, and they did look an amazing team against England. They should have really won that game, as you mentioned. McKinney should have put that chance through. Timothy Villa has been really, what do you say, has been excellent. He's also, I would say, one of those young players which has shown that he has that glimpse of talent. But overall, Abel, how happy are you with this team? Because at the end of the day, World Cup, you might not have these stars really making it through, because it's always the aggregate of the collective of the players that win you World Cups, right? Not a few stars here and there, and not a few
Yeah.
magical moments here and there, but a collection of magical moments. So does the
I
US team have what it takes to win against the Iranian team? Because scoring goals against this Iranian team is not going to be very easy, isn't it? And they found it difficult against an English team, which also plays a similar kind of a pragmatic situation. Or you think Iran is going to be much tougher than scoring against England in terms of the system, at least? It's not the skill.
Yeah, to an extent, yes. But at the same time, I personally feel with this US team, the players have stepped up pretty well. Now let's give credit to someone like a Yunus Musa. He's had a terrific World Cup so far. He put in a extremely good performance against England, where he dominated the midfield. He really controlled that game for USA. And on the other end, if you look at someone like McKennie, he's been having a terrific World Cup. Now, Serginho Dest, who was criticized heavily before the start of the World Cup because of his defensive skills being really below par. He stepped up his game. He's been making it. He's been getting into some really good positions. And Christian Pulisic, another player who was extreme, who was on the other end of criticism as well. He was criticized because he was unable to finish things off. He was unable to make those. He was unable to make any sort of impact on the pitch as a player and as a winger, especially to get into those attacking areas, to create chances. He's been able to do a lot of things right in this World Cup. Hence, I have to say, US team has really turned up to this World Cup as a team, not as individuals who have got potential. And remember, they're not even played someone like Reina in this tournament, because Reina is another player who can change things around. The US coach has believed that Reina does not need to start because he is still young. He does not really fit into team dynamics. I still think he can be brought in as a substitute to really bring in some creativity, to really bring in that fresh leg to take the game forward. I think at some stage in the tournament they will use him if they want to progress.
Yeah, I mean, excited to see actually Reina because he is someone who's a talent, definitely. He's also got a lot of footballing history, in his family as well, if I'm not wrong, Abel. But
Yeah.
let's look at this Iranian team, another team, which is done well, you would say. They did impress us in that in the game, in the game against, like, it was US. Was it US? No, not
Sorry,
US. Sorry, they're playing yesterday.
Wales.
It was Wales, correct? It was Wales in that game, where that wave of Asian football, where they won the game. But that game has really put them in a pole position as well. They are another team which can go through a win here. But do you think this Iranian team has what it takes to win? Because they need a win, right? A draw is not going to suffice in this case. It's going to keep them in the third place, if I'm not wrong, Abel. So they need a win, and because and the main concern has been the goal scoring, right? Not been the defense really.
Yeah, I can say that it's been a concern for them because they play that kind of football. They don't try to attack you a lot. They look to break you on counter. They rely a lot on pinning those balls in for Adil Tarami to finish things off. And he's been doing a decent job so far. And even in the last game, I thought they were outstanding in terms of their counter attacking style of play, to get inside the box, then to finish things off. They're highly threatening once they get inside the box. Their finishing skills are top notch. And when you have a goal scorer like Adil Tarami, all what you need to do is to get the ball right into the right spaces, and make he will get into positions. So you have to create those spaces, break them on counter, break quickly through counter. And another thing they are very good at doing is keeping a very good shape in defensive halves. They don't really lose shape. I was very surprised in the way they lost shape against the English team, but they came back pretty strong against the Welsh team, not losing shape, being very compact, and being very aggressive as well when it comes to their interceptions. They are pretty aggressive. For an Asian team to be this aggressive in terms of interceptions and in being this solid, it's a surprise for me, and they've done that job very well. Hence, I rate this team very highly. Even in Asia, if you talk about some of the best teams, they are a highly rated team from Asia. Though they've not been able to
Yeah.
deliver so far, I still think they've got an opportunity today to make it to the last 16 and make a statement in this World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, so that's pretty much it then from us. Able, I mean, is there anything else left? No, right? We have to now wait for the conclusion of these two matches to see how Group B pans out, because we already know the conclusion of Group A. It's Netherlands and Senegal, who have gone through to the next round, the round of 16. Right now, we have both the teams tied at nil-nil as we are heading into the 22nd minute of the two matches. It's going to be very interesting to see where this group ends up, because this is one group which is really where anything could really happen, and all four teams have some probability of getting into the tournament, mathematically at least speaking. And each of you may have your choices, or may have your predictions, but even who do you think two teams are going to go into the next round? It's going to be a tough call. I think England is pretty much
I
settled,
England
so I
are
think
making it for sure. England are making it. Alongside England, I'll still say USA to make it. They've been very impressive in terms of whatever they've done. But I really want Iran to qualify. It'll be a disappointment if Iran doesn't qualify. I know they've not had the
Yeah.
best of start, but then they came back pretty strong. And today, if they go on to win, they'll be supremely confident going into the round of 16. They've got what it takes to really pull out some results even in round of 16. They can keep a low block and really test teams. They can frustrate teams. That's been their key. They can frustrate teams, which really makes the opposition team to lose shape, and that's where they break on counter. Something which I've already seen even in this game today. They've broken a counter on a couple of occasions where they've really gotten into box in real quick time.
Yeah.
And once you give them the chance, they'll be able to finish it up pretty well.
Fair enough. Well, that's all from us. Thank you guys for joining us once again on Boomer 11 live right here. Please do make sure to go to the Apple Play Store. I mean Apple App Store or Google Play Store. I will come to that, Saloni, definitely. And download the app and play the fantasy experience where you don't have to invest any money. So and definitely, if you do well, you can get coins which you can trade in for rewards on our app. Abel, final note. Favorite World Cup song, all time World Cup song, and maybe even this year's World Cup song.
I think it's from this year, right? I think that's the question.
I think we'll
Actually,
we'll take both, right?
I mean, I'll go for this year from all time. I think everybody will go for the 2010 two songs. It's just pretty obvious. But from
Yeah.
this year, it's been pretty disappointing. But I never thought I'd have this day. But then I'll still say Jungkook's Dreamer is not bad because it's going to have a big rendition of Fahad coming in it. So it's pretty good. It's pretty decent in terms of other songs. So Dreamer from by BTS and Fahad is pretty nice compared to other songs.
I actually like the vibe of Haya Haya. It's pretty good. I think it's a
I
good
think the
song.
World Cup
I wouldn't
theme.
say.
I like the World Cup theme song more than anything else. The starting World Cup song. It is just not any song. It's just a music, but then it's pretty nice.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really
yeah.
Qatarian culture and Middle Eastern culture. The music, the background, everything is pretty nice about that. And also that's
Correct.
why I
Yeah.
like Dreamers. Also, it gives me slight bit of vibe. Haya Haya also gives me a vibe, but then overall it's
It is
been
not
all.
as it's not as great as 2010 was the golden era of World Cup songs. I would say all songs that came out were just too good. But
I thought
you
even
have. I
I
mean, I
still
think
think even 98 song is also very good. FIFA 98, no, 1998 World
yeah,
Cup
yeah.
song is very nice.
But I mean,
Out of all,
2010 was a complete package, wasn't it? Abel? It was like a five-star package that you buy, a luxury package because everything was nice. All the
yeah,
songs. I mean,
yeah.
Waving Flag, Shakira's,
Because
which is
2010 has set the bar so high that no song is even able to
yeah.
match it. Even if they're good, we compare
2014,
everything
I
with
would say
2000.
came close,
No, 14
but
was nowhere
yeah.
close. Everybody criticized 14 at that point of time because now you like 14
But
because
now
it's better than
in
this.
hindsight,
So that's why you respect 14 when songs did come out in
see, well,
2014.
that's the reason why
You
you
get
say
so
in
much happy
hindsight
about it.
20. That's the
I
reason
think
why
now
you say
if you look
hindsight is
now if you have
yeah.
a bad song than this in 2026 or 2030, you will say 2022 had was really good. But still the bar will be 2010 and it's gonna be very tough to beat that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's because you always say right in hindsight is a 2020 vision, and that's how it always will be.
But
And you're
I'll still
right.
say 2018 is the worst out of everything.
I don't know, man. I mean, this year I
I
don't
mean
think has been that
2018 was
great
just
either.
bad. I mean, what was it? One love for the some I think it was
Yeah,
that was what it was.
that song was not great. But I love the
Maybe
Coca Cola
maybe
anthem that year.
it was what it was.
Jason Derulo did a good job.
Colors, right? That was nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Coca-Cola
That's one
don't
of the.
release
I
songs
think that is a
anymore.
very good song. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much our discussion on the World Cup songs.
I
Do
also
comment down
like
below what your favorite World Cup songs were.
yeah, I personally like Euro songs more than the World Cup songs. Every Euro they bring something really good. In 2016, I remember David Guetta and made one. This time it was Martin Garrix. So I still think FIFA should consider UEFA should consult with UEFA in terms of choosing the right artists for making songs.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's also about they always try and bring an artist from that host country or nearby areas.
The
So I think
same with
that's
Nicki
where
Minaj is from Qatar.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Um,
People who have heard Nicki Minaj's song will really say It's
Shakira is
ridiculous.
from Africa, right? If I'm not wrong,
Who?
and Brazil as well. Shakira.
Shakira's from Colombia.
I know, dude. I'm being sarcastic. Come on, evil. That's
Come on.
pretty much
I
at
thought I
this
thought I thought you
disappointing
really
note.
lost it
At
there
this very
because
disappointing
people
note,
really think she's from Brazil because you just compared her with she's South American at the end of the day, man.
she is from Colombia, guys. She is. She is. I'm too good when it comes to sarcasm. That's what's been proven on this show
I mean,
now.
that was a very bad
But
sarcasm. That's why.
oh, come on.
People
Great
people start
sarcasm is
believing she's from Brazil.
great sarcasm. Evil is the one
You
that
know
you can't
what? People
distinguish.
start believing she's from Brazil because of that. And it's not far
But that's
away
the
at all.
point. Great sarcasm is the kind of sarcasm you can't distinguish. Back me up in the comment section, guys. But that's pretty much it from us.
It's just
Please do download and play the Boomer
what do
11
we
app.
think about that sarcasm? If you are told Shakira is an Indian, that looks like a sarcasm. But if you
Oh,
say
come on. We're
Shakira
going
is
to
from
have this
Brazil,
debate off camera,
if you
guys.
say,
It's
if
too
you say
late.
Shakira is from
It's too late,
Shakira is
Abel,
from
for this.
Brazil, it is like more saying that you have made a mistake. It is like saying
It's not
Virat
a
Kohli
mistake.
is. Yeah, I mean, it's saying okay. If you say Virat Kohli is from Australia, it's tough to believe. If you say Virat Kohli is from Pakistan, you still will consider it.
No,
Let's
that
see.
analogy doesn't compare. Thank you
Yeah,
guys so
yeah,
much for joining.
I'm being very
Abel,
honest.
that's all. That's all. This is off camera now, Abel. We should be off camera discussing this, not on camera.
I think we should settle this on camera, and I like this debate where it's going.
I think no one is watching. No one is settling it for us.
I mean, either way, do comment below what do you think about it. Should sarcasm be sounding a little dumb, or
Indistinguishable. That's the question. Should sarcasm
no?
be indistinguishable?
Which
Yes.
is that?
That's the best sarcasm.
All right, that no way to end it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, have a
Don't
good
forget
time, all of you.
don't forget to download Boomer 11 app also. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Bye, bye, guys. Have a good time. Good night, all of you.
Bye guys. Bye guys.